Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from King Abdulaziz Racecourse here on Saturday. It is the 26th of February 2022. It's Saudi Cup Day, and I'm going to look at all the stakes races on the program here. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean it around the world. So we're going to look at the stakes races, the 6 stakes races on the program. Races 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, and 8. We're not going to look at the local handicap here, and the Arabian race. So we'll look at the thoroughbred stakes races. So let's get to it. Starting off with the first race, it is the Neom Turf Cup Stakes. It's the Group 3 Neon Turf Cup Stakes. It's going for a purse just over $1.5 million. Races for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 14 horses here going the distance of ground here of 2,100 meters, if you want to go by that, or the distance of ground of a mile 5/16 on the turf course. A mile 5/16. My top selection, we're going to go with the number 10 horse here. The number 10 horse who is, as my iPad craps out, it always does it. I'm going to go with the 10 horse Solid Stone. We'll go 10, 2, 9 in the tri-cash trifecta. That's going to be my top 3 basically, but the top selection is 10 horse Solid Stone, the 6-year-old gelding by Chamardal. Sir Michael Stout trains this one. Ryan Moore gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 18th of September in the UK at Newbury. Good ground, a mile 3/8 in the Group 3 Dubai Duty Free Legacy Cup Stakes, and the horse went by a neck that day, and he really was pushed to get good position out of the gate, and he got it, and he stalked all the way, he led all the way around. It looked like he was going to go down late, but he really put on a show and really put on a fight to the finish. He got the job done with a very heavy weight. Coming here, very fast ground. It's going to have to overcome a wide post trip, but I think he has enough speed to really get a good trip. I think he can really run a good race here today. Two-back ran in the Group 3 Winter Hill Stakes at Windsor, a mile and a quarter on very fast ground, 28th of August. He won by 3/4 in length there, and he stalked. He slowly moved his weights forward, and he got the job done. An easy race there on the figure 8. And then prior to that, in the Group 3 Sovereign Stakes at Salisbury, 1 mile on the 12th of August. He finished 4th by 11 lengths there, and he just really couldn't quicken up. I do think the mile trip was a little bit too short. He likes to stay a little bit longer. And then in the Steventon Stakes at Newbury, a mile and a quarter there, 17th of July. He finished 3rd by 5 lengths. He was with them early on, but then just completely crumbled. He couldn't keep the pace. But he likes a good run, which he's going to get today. He's going to get right over the mile and a quarter. He has some early pace, which I think is a little bit good on this turf course. I think at 10-1, he has a very live chance of winning. Don't throw out the 2 horse here. Authority coming in from Japan. Christophe Lemaire gets the mount. Most recently, this horse ran in the Japan Cup, and the horse finished 2nd by 2 lengths. He really had a good trip that day. He just couldn't catch the winner, ran a little bit better, but there was nothing bad about that race. One before that in a Group 2 at Tokyo Racecourse over the mile 9/16. He's cutting back in some of the trips from some of his races last season, where he's running over the longer trips, 2 miles and an eighth, cutting back in trip to a mile 5/16. I think he should get a good trip from the inside. It wouldn't surprise me at 2-1 if he gets the job done. But here in America, they're offering a pick 4 with this race. I would definitely go too deep in this one. But to recount my selection for the first from King Abdulaziz Racecourse in Riyadh, I'm not sure what the proper name of the racecourse is. I don't know if it's Riyadh Racecourse or King Abdulaziz Racecourse. But to recap my selection for the Neon Turf Cup, the opener, I'm going to go with the 10 horse here. Solid Stone. Give kudos to the 2 horse Authority. 10, 2, 9, tri-cash trifecta. 10, 2 in the place pot in the multi-race. The second race, it is the 1351 Turf Sprint, the Group 3 1351 Turf Sprint. It's a Group 3 event going for a purse of $1.5 million. This race is for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 14 horses going the distance of ground here of 1,350 meters, or the distance of ground of a mile 6 3/4 furlongs on the Riyadh turf course. 1,350 meters, 6 3/4 furlongs. Very unusual to go in quarter furlongs here in the States, but outside of America they do it quite often. But the top selection, I'm going to go with the number 7 horse here, Naval Crown. We'll go 7, 12, 4 in the tri-cash trifecta. 7, 12, 4 tri-cash trifecta. Top selection, 7 horse, Naval Crown. 4-year-old colt by DeBowie. Charlie Appleby trains this one. William Buick was supposed to ride, but of course he just got COVID, so there's going to be a rider switch. I want to say Frankie's going to be on it, but don't hold me to to the stone with that one. But there will be a rider change. Most recently, they ran the horse at Maidan on the 21st January. 7 furlongs in the Group 2 2 Alpha Heady Ford. He won by a length that day, and he had a great starting position. He quickened up nicely, and he got the job done. Coming to 6.5, with a good starting position, I think he could really run a good race. Two back ran a Deauville in the Group 1 Prix Pratt, 11th of July with 7 furlongs. He finished 8th by 10 quarter lengths and completely crumbled there. Didn't have a lot of speed late. It just wasn't his day to win. And then the Group 3 Jersey Stakes at Royal Ascot, 7 furlongs soft ground, 19th of June. He finished second by 1 quarter lengths, and he sat back early. He had the lead for a split portion. He just couldn't catch Creative Force, but he still ran his heart out there. And then he ran the Guineas at Newmarket over the mile on fast ground. He finished 4th by 2 3/4 lengths, and he had a very good, easy position early on, still leading. He kind of hit the wall late, but he still outran his 50-1 odds that afternoon. And then the listed stakes at Newmarket, 7 furlongs, the 14th of April. He finished second by a neck behind Tactical. And again, he was with them early on. He just couldn't quicken up, but he still ran his heart out. Coming here today on very fast ground from a starting position at 3-1, I think he could really run a good race. Don't throw out the 12 horse here, Happy Romance. Tom Marquand's on this one for Richard Haddon. Most recently, they ran the horse in the British Champion Sprint Stakes at Ascot, 6 furlongs on soft ground, and he finished 11th by 5 1/4 lengths behind Creative Force, who's a great sprinter. This horse just wasn't getting into it, and just completely hit the wall. It wasn't his day to win on the soft ground. Before then, the Group 1 Sprint Cup at Haydock, 6 furlongs on surprisingly fast ground for Haydock. The horse finished 4th by 11 lengths, and again, sat back early, slowly moved his way up. I do think it was a decent effort, and then won the Hackwood at Newbury in July very, very nicely by neck from a closing up victory. It was drawn well. With a bend here, the horse should really get a good trip. At 12-1, we're going to use him. Also, you have to use, I think, the 4 horse here, who is Happy Power. James Doyle's on this one for Andrew Balding. Most recently, ran the horse in the British Champion Sprint, where the horse finished 8th by 3 3/4 lengths and just didn't have a lot of pace late in the race. Before that, they ran the Celebration Mile at Goodwood in late August, where the horse just wasn't getting the mile trip. I do think 6.5, 7 today is really going to be to his liking. He's another horse. He could sit a little closer here, and he's not going to set the pace, but he's going to come from a track position. I think that could suit him up well. Also at 10-1, definitely use him in your play spots. But to recount my selection for the second from Riyadh, a very wide open Group 3 13-51 turf sprint, we're going to take as a top selection here the number 7 horse Naval Crown. We'll give kudos to the 12 horse Happy Romance and the 4 horse Happy Power. 7-12-4 Tri-Cash Trifecta. We'll use all 3 of those horses in the pick 4 or the place pot. Let's get to the third race here from Riyadh, which is the Group 3 Red Sea Turf Handicap. It's a Group 3 event going for a purse $2.5 million. Races for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 15 horses staying the distance of ground of 3,000 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile 7/8 on the turf course. 3,000 meters, 1 mile 7/8 here in the Red Sea Turf Cup. My top selection, we're going to go with the number 9 horse. The number 9 horse, who is Siskany. We'll go 9-11-3 in the Tri-Cash Trifecta. 9-11-3 Tri-Cash Trifecta. Top selection, 9 horse Siskany. This 4-year-old gun by DeBowie. Charlie Appleby trains this one for Godolphin. Again, William Buick supposed to get the mount. Not going to get the mount. Not sure what the rider change on this one will be. But most recently ran the horse 28th of January at Maidan. Mile 3/4 in the Al-Khail Trophy. And the horse went by 5.5 lengths and had a dream position all the way around the racetrack, stalked the leaders. When he got the lead at the top lane, he kept going. An all-around decent race after all said and done. Coming here, a little bit of a longer trip on fast ground, run very well. If he runs that same race today, he could definitely win against these horses. Two back ran the Wildflower Stakes at Kempton, a listed stakes, 1.5 miles on the 1st of December on the Tapeta on the Polytrack, and the horse finished second by 3 1/4 lengths. And he just kind of stalked, and had the lead for a split portion of the race in the lane, but then he just couldn't get there. He couldn't catch the winner. It was just a little bit game that day. Cutting, a little bit longer trip should suit him well there. And then before that, in late October at Newbury, 1.5 miles in the St. Simon Stakes, the horse finished 4th by 5 1/4 lengths, and I thought the wet ground was getting to him. He really couldn't get there late. And then he rode Rolly Cup at Newmarket, 1.5 miles on the 8th of October. He won by 2 1/4 lengths, and off the long refreshing that day of about 10 weeks. I thought he got a good trip from his track position. He got the job done after all said and done. And then before that, in handicap at Glorious Wood over the 1.5 miles, he finished second by 3/4 length. And again, he started a little closer. He just couldn't get the good turn of foot, but I didn't think it was a half bad race. If you just take out the St. Simon race at Newbury, his form hasn't been half bad at all the last season. And coming here with the longer trip, I think at 9-2 he's a very likely winner. Don't throw out the 11 horse here, who is the 11 horse. Again, my iPad craps out. It's time for a new one. This iPad's 11 years old, or 10 years old now, which is, Stone Age. I have to chuck coal in it to get it to work now, and that's how old it is. But the 11 horse Glycan, this 6-year-old gallon by Le Harvey, Jean-Claude Rouget trains this one. Christian DeMero gets the mount. Most recently, they ran the horse in the Pre-Royal Local L'Enchamal and 7.5 furlongs, nearly a little bit longer than today's trip. The horse finished third by 4.5 lengths that afternoon, and the soft ground got to this horse. His worst race have come on very, very wet ground. He just couldn't get a good trip. He never really got, quickened up, and it just wasn't his day to win. Before that, in the Grand Prix de Deauville at Deauville, on line 16th in late August on fast ground, he won by a half length, and he got the lead from track position and kept going, even with heavy weight. It was a good race. And then in the Group 3 Prix de Reux at Deauville on line 16th, he won by 2 lengths, and again, sat a little closer that day, and he got the job done. I think today, from a good inside poster, he'll be sitting closer, and I think on the firm ground he goes up a lot. At 12-1, definitely using the place pot. But to recap my selection for the third from Riyadh, it's the Group 3 Red Sea Turf Cup Handicap. We're going to take the number 9 horse Skinny as a top selection. Give kudos to the 11 horse Glycan, 9-11-3, Tri-Cash Trifecta, 9-11 the place pot. Let's get over to race 6. The 6th race from Riyadh, it is the Group 3 Saudi Derby. It's a Group 3 event going for a purse of $1.5 million. Races for 3-year-olds here. We have 16 horses entered, but only 14 could go. The distance of ground here of 1,600 meters or a mile on the dirt course. 1,600 meters, 1 mile here in the Saudi Derby. My top selection, we're going to go take the number 7 horse. And the number 7 horse, who is Island Falcon, will go 7-9-5 in the Tri-Cash Trifecta. 7-9-5 Tri-Cash Trifecta. Top selection 7 horse Island Falcon. This 3-year-old colt here, Saeed Bin Suor trains one for Godolphin. Christophe Soumillon gets the mount. He's stepping on dirt for the first time, but his turf races aren't half bad. His most recent outing came in the Jumeirah Derby trial at Meydan, a mile and 1/8 on the 21st of January, and he won by 1/4 lengths, and he sat back early. He slowly moved his way up, and with a long stretch, he got the job done. Probably wasn't 100% cranked for that race, but I still thought it was a good effort. Coming here today, he has a very long run to the turn, so he could get over well and save some ground. I think he could really run a good race. Most recently, before that, he ran at Nottingham on the 27th of October, 1 mile in a maiden stakes, and he won by a nose that day, and he again had a great track position. He quickened up nicely, and he got the job done. Small margin of victory, but they wanted to save the handicap. An all-around good race from there. And then before then, a novice race at Goodwood, a mile and a quarter, 10th of October. He finished third by 2 1/4 lengths there. First start going a mile and a quarter as a 2-year-old is very difficult. In general, going a mile and a quarter for a start is very difficult. This horse gets kind of stalked. He never quickened up, but he ran decently. I didn't think it was a half bad debut. That was a good pat on the back there. He's really been improving with every single run. Coming here today with Simeon up at 12-1, I think he's loaded. Don't throw out the 9 horse Pinehurst. This 3-year-old colt by Twirling Candy. Bob Baffert trains. Flavian Pratt gets the mount. Most recently, they ran the horse in the San Vicente at Santina, 7 furlongs on 28th of January, and he finished second by 2 1/4 lengths there. And he just kind of stalked, but could never catch Forbidden Kingdom. Coming here with a 1-turn mile, which I think you should absolutely love, has some early pace. I think he could really keep up with these horses and run a good race. 2 back around the Brews Cup Juvenile, Del Mar, mile 16th on the 5th of November, and he suffered his first defeat. He finished 5th by 8 1/4 lengths there, and he just kind of stalked a little bit wide, and he just never got over and never got the good turn of foot. It wasn't his day to win. Though his stablemate Cornici just ran that better race. And then before then, the Del Mar Futurity at Del Mar, 7 furlongs, 6 September. He won by 4.5 lengths, and again, he didn't break that well, which is a kind of a recurrence with his first 2 races, but he settled well after that on the front end, and he kept going. An all-around good race there. And then the debut at 5 furlongs at Del Mar on the 1st of August in the main special weight, winning by a half length. Again, didn't break that well, was drifting in the lane, but again, he got the job done. He's training well at Santita, come here with a 1-turn mile, which I think he should absolutely adore. I'm going to take him on the ticket also. But to recap my selection for the 6th, it's the Group 3 Saudi Derby. Let's take as a top selection the 7 horse Island Falcon. Give kudos to the 9 horse Pinehurst, 7-9-5 Tri-Cash Trifecta, 7-9 in the place pot. The 7th race now from Riyadh. It is the Riyadh Dirt Sprint, the Group 3 Riyadh Dirt Sprint. It's a Group 3 event going for a purse of $1.5 million. Races for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 14 horses going the distance of ground here of 1,600 meters, or the distance of ground of, 1,200 meters, or the distance of ground of 6 furlongs on the turf course, on the main track. 1,200 meters, 6 furlongs, dirt, main track. My top selection, we're going to go with the number 6 horse here. The number 6 horse, who is Gladiator King. Will go 6-2-10 in the Tri-Cash Trifecta. 6-2-10 Tri-Cash Trifecta. Top selection 6 horse Gladiator King. For 6-year-old horse by Curlin. Gets Miguel Barcelona up. The horse's most recent outing came in the Garhode sprint at Maidan, 6 furlongs on the 1st of January, and he finished second by 9 1/4 lengths there. He just kind of stalked all the way around the race course, can never get the good turn of foot. First start since last February. I do think he needed the race there. Second off the bench, coming here, we were in decent race 2 seasons ago. I think he's sitting on a very good run. 2 back in the Al Shandaga sprint at Maidan, 6 furlongs, 18th February 2021. He finished third by 3 3/4 lengths there, and he just kind of stalked and never quickened up. He didn't show that forwardly pace like he did in his few starts before the Maidan. And then before that, in the Group 3 Dubai Stakes at Maidan, 6 furlongs, 21st of January. He finished third by 3 3/4 lengths. Switzerland really ran a good race that day. He's been beaten by him twice. He just kind of stalked, had a lead for a split portion, but then just Switzerland closed up from nowhere to get the job done. First start back from Saudi. Before that, he ran the Saudi Cup and Saudi Sprint Cup here in 2020 on 29th February. 6 furlongs there. He finished third by 3 3/4 lengths, and he just couldn't get the good turn of foot. But before that, Maidan in January 2020, he was pretty perfect. He won the Al Shandaga sprint very, very nicely from a tracking position, and then won the Dubai Stakes in early January of 2020 at Maidan. Again, on the front end, a very, very good run. Coming here today, second off the bench, he should be a very fresh horse. At 8-1, he's a very likely winner. The 2-horse Campano Kicking is your second likeliest winner. William Buick again was supposed to ride, and we're going to have a rider switch to be announced. Most recently ran in Ohio and Japan, 6 furlongs in Tokyo High Stakes. He finished fourth by 2 3/4 lengths there, and he never had the good turn of foot. He just kind of hit the wall late. Before then, the summer champion Asaga, 7 furlongs for September. He finished third by 7 1/4 lengths, and again, he just never really got going. He ran this race last year and he won by a neck on a very, very, good run there, and he closed up well and got the job done. He has a lot of speed. He could close also at 5-2. Another horse we'll definitely use on the ticket, but I think Gladiator King is really sitting on the A run. But to recap my selection for the 7 from Riyadh, it's the Group 3 Riyadh Dirt Sprint. We're going to take the number 6 horse Gladiator King as the top selection. Give kudos to the 2 horse Campano Kicking. 6-2-10 Tri-Cash Trifecta. 6-2 in the multi-race or the place pot. Now to the 8th race, the race everybody's been waiting for from Riyadh. It is the Group 1 Saudi Cup. It's a Group 1 event going for a purse of $20 million. Race for 3-year-olds and upwards in the Southern Hemisphere, 4-year-olds upwards in the Northern Hemisphere. We have a field here of 16 horses entered, but only 14 could go. The distance of ground here of 1,800 meters, or the distance of ground of 1.1 on the Riyadh dirt track. 1,800 meters, a 1.1 here in the Saudi Cup. My top selection, we're going to go take the number 5 horse here. The number 5 horse, Magny Cours, will go 5-8-2 in the Tri-Cash Trifecta. 5-8-2 Tri-Cash Trifecta. Top selection of 5 horse, Magny Cours. 7-year-old horse by Medaglia d'Oro, Andre Farb trains. Miguel Barcelona gets him out. 20-1 here. I think it's great value. Most recently, they ran the horse in Bahrain on the 19th of November. A 1.25 in the Bahrain Trophy, and he finished third by 3/4 length. Lord Glitters, the old man, really, really showed some great form, but this horse was setting the pace. He just couldn't get there late, couldn't quicken up to his full potential, but I still thought he ran his heart out. Coming here on dirt, he's bred to go on it. His one lone dirt race wasn't half bad. I think he could really run a good race, and I think his forwardly pace should suit him well. 2 back in the Group 3 Prix de Perth at St. Cloud, 1 mile on soft ground, 23rd of October. He won by half a length that day, and again, he stalked, he had the lead, and he got the job done. He likes running on the soft stuff. Before then, the Group 2 Prix d'Olaire at Longchamp-Montreuil, 2nd of October. He finished second by 2 1/4 lengths there, and again, he just couldn't get there late, but he still ran his heart out. And then a Clairefontaine in a listed stakes on the 1st of August, a mile on the 8th. He won by 3/4 length, and again, he stalked and he just got the job done. Not the flashiest victories, but they got the job done. He ran on the dirt once before last March at Maidan, a 1.25 in the Dubai World Cup, where he finished third by 5 lengths. And he just couldn't get the good turn of foot late. The Mystic God and Chihuahua Wizard just had the better turn of foot, but this horse got around the race course well. There was nothing bad about that race. It looked like he was handling the dirt. Came back to run in the Prix Gagné after that at Longchamp, where he just really ran a little bit disappointingly. I thought the turnaround was just a little bit too close from the Dubai race. But after that, we're in a very good place in the long shop in late May. But coming here today, off the bench, he should be very fresh, has a forwardly pace. I think at 20 to 1, he is a very likely winner, along with the number 8 horse here, Midnight Bourbon. Joe Rosario is getting on this one for Steve Asmussen. He's been, the bride, the bridesmaid, never the bride last year, placed in the Travers, placed in the Pennsylvania Derby, an okay third in Clark, placed in Louisiana Derby, Louisiana Stakes. And if you go by Buyer speed figures here in the States, 107, 107, 95, 105, he's running these bang-on races, but just not winning. He hasn't won since the Lake Comte at the Fairgrounds last January 2021, where he won by length on the front end. But he's been, like I said, running these bang-on races. He's drawn very well, has a great, he could set the pace if he wants, or he could track. I think at 4 to 1, he's going to really run a good race. And also, don't throw out the 2-horse Art Collector. Bill Montrain just won. Luis Ciez gets the mount. He ran a disappointing race in that Breeders' Cup Classic, but he won the Woodward before that nicely, and the Charlestown Classic before that nicely also. He's a very fast horse. If you go by his buyers, he could really keep up with this group. I think at 8 to 1, he's your wise guy horse also. We'll definitely use in the poll and the multi-race in the place pod. But to recap my selection for the 8th from King Abdulaziz Racecourse here in Riyadh, it's the Group 1 $20 million Saudi Cup. We're going to take the 5-horse Magny Course as a top selection. Give kudos to the 8-horse Midnight Bourbon and the 2-horse Art Collector. 582 Trifecta, and we'll use all 3 of those horses in the multi-race and in the place pot. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everybody.